Hello everybody and welcome to the first iteration of the third impact, and also welcome to the Qualifier Mappool showcase. I'm one of your co-hosts, Radan, and we've been working on this tournament for I think almost a year at this point, but I don't want to keep you waiting too long, so I'd like to hand it over to our casters. If you could introduce yourself.
Okay, yeah. Hello, I'm Alice, and I'm gonna be one of the casters today. And also, just a quick fact: today with us it's Nikki that will provide us a bit more information on today's map pool, since he's one of our mappers. And I'm gonna bring you over to the next caster. That is.
Hello. It is me. No, I will also be your streamer, so I'm pretty excited. I'm one of the players, so I don't really know what to expect too much out of this. There you go. I guess unless you have anything else to say.
I just want to give myself a little introduction since I'm the co-commentator for like little tidbits on each map. Hi, I'm Nikki. You guys might know me from like NFT and just all around. But yeah, hi, bye bye.
Yeah, but I guess unless anything else, we can move on to stage 1.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. We just did. Okay, here we go. So stage 1. Wait, there's no replay button.
What the fuck?
There's no replay button.
Okay,
what? Oh
Where's
god.
the replay button?
A little bit of a problem here, I sense. It's fine. Don't worry.
I mean, wait.
We'll get it squared out in a second.
Okay, hold on. Okay, we're just gonna put auto then. Okay, but I guess that aside, I believe this is going to be our more kind of dump focused pick. It is going to be our easier qualifier, which it is to be expected within stage 1.
I'd also say this could be potentially like a big switcher up in the group in qualifiers, since this one would probably be pretty hard to ratio for some of the players. It has a lot of like patterns that I'd say are pretty difficult to fully MA. That's what that's my kind of observation.
Yeah, so far it's nothing like too bad compared to like a lot of other stuff. You do have like some of these graces, some of these mini jacks coming in every now and then, but it mostly kind of focuses on these like kind of bursts throughout rather than kind of just being like your kind of typical tech pick that a lot of people might be familiar with.
Yeah. These bursts here though is like what I would consider like already pretty hard for stage one of the qualifiers. This is definitely like this one is to be expected to be one of the easier, of course, but so far like the music itself is pretty repetitive, so with that comes very repetitive patterns that may cause some trouble, especially that repetitive patterns usually aren't really, I would say, like easy to get into after some time.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this is I think a lot of the kind of difficulty from this is just gonna come from like these kind of like ever-changing snaps. Even within the jacks, it looks like the snaps change a little bit. There's a little bit of a kind of like delay factor with it. There's also some aspect of that kind of like fear control aspect, and of course that kind of motion that you need when kind of switching back and forth between a lot of these patterns, which it's to be expected. It's a bit of a more kind of techier pick, although not our fully fledged tech pick that people are recognized with, but you can still kind of see like traces of it within this pick.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean these patterns are the kind that really require some finger control here, and I totally believe that this is like pretty difficult pick overall for the qualifiers, because we are gonna be just seeing accuracy battles here, which some may turn out really interestingly, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely going to be one of the more kind of interesting picks, and I think it kind of sets up the stage to kind of expect difficulty within this tournament. But I don't know if you have anything else to say about this.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. We can move on to stage 2.
Yeah, maybe it works this time.
Oh.
Yeah, no, okay. That's fine then. Okay, well, just introduce it like this. But yeah, this is going to be our second stage. I believe this is going to be our coordination pick.
Yep, we can already see some hard releases here at the start. I'd say overall that this map it does have some pretty hard releases, and also we cannot forget about how it is in the name, coordination. I mean, this map is, I would say, pretty fast for what it requires overall. I'd say this one would be probably one of the hardest to MA actually out of the whole tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I think court picks are just infamous for like being extremely hard to hold good accuracy on, and I think what we see here, I mean, almost a 6,000 combo, and stage 2 is crazy.
Yeah, this is crazy. And the map isn't even that long, so this really just shows the density that this map has with the long nodes. It can really just be described as kind of difficult, especially that you need to FC this to actually hold a very good score. So this can be a little bit of a mix-up for players that have a tendency to, how would I say, randomly miss in certain points of maps.
Yeah, and kind of looking through this, I mean, you have that aspect of coordination, which is, I mean, it's a stage qualifier, but you start to see a lot more of this kind of bird control being needed, and especially within Ellen, it's very prominent within this skill set. Although the releases so far aren't like drastically too wild, which you might kind of expect. They do kind of like spike up every now and then, but there's kind of like a lot of like structuring to help you like follow each release carefully.
Yeah, this is the kind of map that just basically has one burst that's pretty okay, then one burst that is pretty hellish to really hit, and I think this creates a really good balance here. I mean, this map is very good. I don't think there's anything I can say about it anymore. I mean, this is basically just a perfect coordination pick we can see here, and the big combo cap really does do a big number on who will be able to have a really good score in this.
Yeah, honestly, kind of like looking at this, like especially just because this is like my first time seeing all of this, I think it kind of gives off that like feeling of like a timing count in a sense. Although I think there's like some aspects within this that make it like a little bit more kind of weirder within its a timing count. I guess like if people are kind of familiar with like TTT, it's kind of capturing that kind of like LN3 aspect where you have a timing count, but you do have that kind of aspect that makes it a little bit more techier than like your traditional timing count. And I think that's kind of like the best way to describe something like this.
Yeah, definitely. And all I'm gonna say is good luck to every player that's gonna play this in the teams. I mean, we can really sense some hard releases here too. In a coordination pick, the release here, the release aspect here, I think it should really be highlighted because some of the patterns are basically full LN walls with some pretty hard releases in the middle. So yeah, I just wish the best of luck to everyone that plays this.
Yeah, it's a long pick. It almost
True.
ranking it at that like 6,000 combos. It's gonna be insane. Oh, I actually no. I think right, it's on Scurvy 1. So actually no, I think it'd still be close to like 6,000. It's like a little bit off, but it's still kind of within
it's
that
off,
range.
but not much because the LNs
Yeah.
aren't really that long. So we're still expecting a really big combo cap.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be like a huge consistency test, and we haven't even gone like to the later qualifiers, but I think it could work out. A bit of a more, I guess, in a sense, experimental, in a sense of like easier qualifiers. Yeah, I guess we can move on.
Yeah,
to
true. We
stage three.
can move on.
Yeah, okay. Stage 3 is gonna be Blast Plus.
And this will be our Jack hybrid kind of map. We'll see a lot of minis here. That's from what I've seen, a lot of mini jacks and quite a bit of hard releases too. Actually, from what I remember, this will be certainly a pretty interesting map here. We don't see these that often in many tournaments, and so this will be interesting how people turn up to play this.
Yeah, you kind of see it already within this. I mean, those like long jacks on the other columns definitely gonna be a little bit more trickier. And you can kind of see like it being a little bit reminiscent of what we'll probably see later. Although the mini jacks so far aren't like too complicated. Well, mini jacks, whatever you kind of want to call it here. This is going to be like you said earlier, I believe. It's a kind of jacky hybrid, shieldy hybrid, whatever you want to call it. But here we go into the chorus.
Yeah, the chorus here is pretty tough with some of the anchors and the long jacks, and also with it being cut up with a lens. I really think this is This map particularly, I think, will give a lot of trouble to the players that aren't really that versed in jacks and then finger coordination, like overall finger control with LN mixed with jack, because that skill set is not that popular. Like, you don't see many players that are very, very good at this specific thing.
Yeah, this is definitely gonna kind of like you said, it's gonna be one of those like weirder qualifiers, I think, just because like I think a lot of like early game qualifiers that we kind of tend to see, they don't really focus on like jacks too heavily in the sense that this one does. This one kind of feels more like one of those kind of like mid game qualifiers, which I mean it's to be expected qualifiers, but I think it leads more towards like that kind of mid game feeling that you see in like most usual tournaments, and it can play in two different ways. In one way, it means that these qualifiers are a lot harder than you typically see. But in another sense, it also means that we're like properly testing the kind of skill sets, especially within the hybrids. Early game hybrids tend to be a little bit more on the awkward side, just because it's kind of switching between L and Rice. But right here, you see it. Like these tricky patterns combine both Rice and Ellen, and it becomes so much more controlly like your usual hybrid twos within like the later stages.
Yeah, and I also think this Mappool in particular will really filter out the best of the best and the really good players that we still have in this tournament. Because some players that obviously are a little bit lower skill level than others will have, I think, trouble hacking it as well as some other players here might. So this pick will particularly be very good to really like test every single one person here that plays this. In my opinion, this will be one of the biggest head turners here from what I've seen.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be a bit of an interesting pick, and I guess one thing to also know, there are some kind of switches in the kind of rhythm. I think earlier it was like 1/4 to 1/3, and it did happen earlier on as well. So that is something to
there's
be careful of.
Sorry to butt in.
Yeah,
Mapper here. There's only two different like time signature switches. Every now and then it goes to 1/3, or like there's some 1/6 in there. Very minuscule though. But yeah.
Right. So with that, we might go to stage 4.
And here we go. I think this is like your traditional tech pick, if I remember correctly.
You would be correct.
This will be more the traditional tech pick. We already see a lot of like bursty, burst and phantom, and basically everything that we would see in a tech map, except made a bit extreme in my opinion. There are some very hard things to hit here, and this in particular is, from what I remember, a pretty fast map. So this will kind of also test the speed of players and the consistency at speed that you would need to, play this map very well.
Yeah, so for a lot of these kind of graces being blurred throughout, so that's also going to be one thing that's a little bit more challenging. But as we kind of move on, we start to see a little bit more of that kind of control-y aspect within this. So it's definitely going to be a bit on the harder side, both physically and just in terms of accuracy.
Yeah. This is what I would. This is like some of the lower skill players may actually more have a trouble on the speedy part of things on this map than actually some of the like techie harder patterns, because this map packs a big punch when it comes to actual speed of the patterns, less than probably some like of the technical things you would like see here. That's what I'm getting.
Yeah, it's kind of like a lot of these like awkward hand motions and hand permutations that you're gonna have to be careful of. You also have like these kind of like, I like to call them like broken anchors, in the sense that you're still anchoring onto like a certain lane, but you only get like such a small break in it where it's kind of off-putting in the sense that it becomes a lot easier to mess up on.
Yeah, I actually, from what I've seen, this is a pretty hard. I would actually say that this pick will probably be one of the easier ones here, though. I think players will catch on pretty quickly how to actually play this. I think this just requires some time. This is like not a good sight readable map to act with some of the, as you said, the really weird anchory parts, I guess, and with the overall speed of the map. This stage is definitely pretty weird than what we usually see in the standard tech map, since it is pretty fast.
Yeah, definitely going to be interesting to see how this one goes. It definitely plays quite differently than what you would probably expect. But that does conclude stage 4.
Yep.
But I guess we can move on to stage 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is going to be bad for me. I believe, if I remember correctly, this is the density pick.
Yeah. This is the density pick. Actually, the first second you play this map, you can already see the density. And
Yeah.
what can I say about it? This is obviously gonna be one of the hardest picks. I think honestly, the biggest struggles in overall tournaments are the hard LN picks. You know, there's just a big gap between being able to do these dense releases pretty good and then just acting usual rice. So this will be kind of this will actually, this is probably my favorite map out of here, just for the sheer complexity of it. I like it very much.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of see it off the bat, but you are hit with like some of these kind of like standard like density patterns, but you also do have like a bit of a kind of like coordination aspect to it in a sense, where you have like these inner columns with these like trills on the side. So that's definitely something to be careful of, as well as these bursts that kind of come in every now and then. Not too much, but I think they will be quite a bit noticeable.
Well, yeah, as you said, this map is usually pretty consistent in the overall density, but yeah, there comes these bursts that really can mess up someone when playing it, especially with the nerves most players will probably be having during the qualifiers. So this map, I would say this map pretty much is the best test of nerve control here, because you have to be really particular with how you release and how you go about hitting these nodes. So yeah, this one is kind of a nerve control pick and LN density at once.
Yeah, this also kind of leads in a little bit into like the kind of like stamina aspect that we don't really see too much in like density picks in general, or like at all. So stamina is definitely something to be a little bit careful of, especially with this one being a bit on the longer side. I think a lot of people are a bit familiar when it just comes to this song with its usage. I know there's a 4DM jump stream version and a hybrid for MWC, but this one, like we said earlier, can take on that density section, and there's gonna be that sense of hold strain and control that might mess up some people, especially with some of the anchors that kind of come in and out here.
Yeah, some players, I especially me being a light tapper, for example, had a very hard time with hitting these patterns just because of hold strain and how at some point I just ran out of stamina to fully hold it. So I believe this one will, I mean, it depends on who plays it, of course, because if it's an LN main, this will be one of the easier picks, as Sound in chat said. For him it's the easiest, but we may not expect such a thing from other players. I mean, honestly, this pick really tests you on your LNs and also on your hold, especially your releases at some point, because it will get very hard to keep stamina and to keep accuracy at the same time during the end of the song.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a bit of a more kind of like experimental density pick, I think, just in general, just because of its lengths, which could work out pretty nicely. Just gonna have to wait and see. I mean, we also have like the factor that like it's a team of 2 tournament, so you're able to swap in. So that might be something worth knowing. But with all that aside, we can move on to stage 6.
Yep, and the stage 6 is a stamina pick.
This is a funny song.
It is. It's Fallen Symphony. I think everyone knows the song by this point, so we can just move on to the map.
Yeah, I don't remember what BPM this song was. If you could check.
It was. I think it is
250.
250.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is gonna be
So
a
we
cut
can
version.
expect some. We can expect some very hard dense sections. I mean, 250 BPM is when things start getting real speedy, so you can only expect kind of dense patterns from this, honestly. And obviously with the ranked version of Fallen Symphony, you already see the density, so this is basically what is here, except it's full rice, and obviously it's the cut version. We wouldn't have a 9-minute map here.
Yeah, so thankfully it's not the full version, but you can kind of see already like some of these kind of like split shows coming in and out, making you forced to kind of transition in and out. A bit of a more transition-y jump stream pick. But you also do have some of these anchors and one-handed throws every so often, as well as the two-handed ones.
Yeah, there's a lot of variation here. So this is some people may just mess up on the sections where it heavily transitions, and we must remember that this is not, I guess, like a standard jump stream map where you have like I need a hero or something that basically has one pattern all over it. It's a big mashup of what you would consider a jump stream.
Yeah.
A lot of trills and some hands here too. We can obviously see a lot of variety, and I think this is why this pick is gonna be like a kind of consistency in a sense, since you will need a lot of jump stream consistency to hit this very, very well.
Yeah, some bursts here as well. I would probably say, kind of basing off of what we've been seeing though, like the jump stream sections, they do look very intuitive, so it shouldn't be like too bad. There's that kind of sense of kind of direction within the stream, so that might be something that you could possibly anchor onto, but it is going to be kind of obstructed by some of these bursts, these split throws as well.
Yeah. So in my opinion, basically this map is just a big test of if you can jump stream. That's all it is, and I think it does the role perfectly. With some jacks at the end, we can also have a little bit of a ease off with the jump stream towards the end, but as you can see, it still goes on, and it might be one of the more stamina training picks overall. Even if we're looking at the LN density we've seen before, this will probably be the like biggest stamina draining map in the whole qualifier.
Yeah, I mean, last qualifier in this one are like the more kind of raw skill heavy ones, so that is something to note. I guess player switches could also be a little bit more useful within these like harder stages, but that does conclude stage 6.
Yep, and we can head over to stage 7.
And here we go, stage 7.
Yeah, I think everyone knows this song by now. It is pretty popular. So this is, I guess, the tiebreaker pick, right? This is like the boss map.
Yeah, I believe it's kind of like a tiebreaker focused hybrid. I guess in this sense it's a bit more of a hybrid, but
Yeah.
you would kind of see this as like similar to like a tiebreaker or akin to that kind of slot within like the regular picks.
This map is 4 minutes 53, so that will fall under like a tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
this one is a long one, and also, yeah, we must remember the big density here. I mean, this map is pretty strong on some. I believe there's a little bit of shields, and overall, this is just like a hybrid on steroids. That's what I would call it for this qualifier map pool.
Yeah, and knowing Nezu a little bit through their stuff, some people might be familiar with their $100 bills Chameleon remix. So I guess that's maybe something you could grapple onto for like what to maybe expect. That was used as like a tech year pick within NAMP 23. So a lot of like time to also kind of refine the style that they have, and you can already see it. There's some of these like more tech year patterns, these more like finger control patterns. But we are going to be moving on to the first chorus now.
And this is where we see a little bit of a difficulty spike with the jacks here. This might be a head turner for some people, because they are mixed in after with LN, so this is kind of a pretty hard thing to act, at least for me. I find transitions like that very difficult. We'll see what players do with it, but yeah, this is, I would say this is one of the hardest parts in this whole entire map.
Yeah, thankfully it doesn't go on for too long, so you don't have to deal with that like raw skill aspect too much, but still, even afterwards, you still have these like kind of more controlly patterns, especially with these releases being toppled on with these like pseudo stop and go patterning.
Yeah. Right now, all we just see is kind of like a consistency kind of LN part. It repeats a lot, so we'll see a little bit of a... Someone may miss here, might as well. I mean, this is between two drops, so if anyone is a little bit lower on the stamina, this part here might be a bit of a turner, especially that there comes another drop here. I mean, I guess semi-drop that is a bit harder still, so this map just consistently ramps up difficulty as you go. It only gives you a little bit of break time before you can actually, before you actually need to start clicking hard again, I guess.
Yeah, it's like a lot of these kind of like pseudo-topical patterns that I was like kind of mentioning earlier, which could either add on to be like harder or easier depending on how you feel these types of patterns. It is very transition heavy, so that's something to also be aware of. Probably gonna be one of the harder ones to just stay consistent on overall, and probably the hardest one.
Yeah,
just in general. I mean, it's the last qualifier.
Yeah, I'm guessing this will be the lowest skill average. We never, I mean, lowest score average. We
Yeah.
don't know yet. But yeah, this second drop is, in my opinion, absolutely brutal in what it does with the song. Basically, it is very, it starts getting very dense on the LN and actually very tricky even for some of the harder maps in this game overall. I mean, this pick really filters out who is made for this tournament and who isn't really.
Yeah, I mean, with this kind of qualifier, it's gonna kind of show like how some people will do on like the later stages, especially since like a lot of these. I guess something like this would probably be like a lot later on, especially just given that it is the last qualifier. So consistency and just being able to hold accuracy on this is definitely gonna reward you a lot, especially just given that you can only make so much mistakes within each of these picks.
Yeah, and I also think that this here is where Ak is, I guess, most rewarded, because overall the map is very chokeable. In my opinion, most of the drops are very chokeable. So we will see a lot of reward for actually having good ratio instead of just full comboing the map. You know, there will probably be a lot of cases where Ak will just beat out the combo in this case. I mean, this map really shows it that there will be very hard picks in this qualifier.
Yeah, that's like one thing to also just be aware of. Like, maybe full comboing isn't going to be absolutely everything on a pick like this one, just given that it's very long. So that also just means that this isn't going to cost as much. But as we conclude things off, we do reach that 7,000 combo in qualifiers.
7,000 combo. Remember, that is core V1. So if we're looking, or is it?
No, it's on V2. It's on V2.
Okay, so 7,000 score on V2 is just crazy. This will be honestly the longest pick and probably the densest overall pick, so you should watch out for that one. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, but that is gonna conclude qualifiers. Definitely gonna be interesting to see how people do. These look really difficult, even compared to like some other harder tournaments like SSR.
I mean, yeah, we are seeing a really tough map pool here, and it's just gonna continue to get harder. So this tournament is upping the levels at some point when we're not talking about NWC. Well, one of the hardest, I'd say.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna have someone else speak on if they unmute.
Hello. It is me, one of the Mappools, Arrow. Yeah, as Verdon said from the very start of the stream, we've worked on this tournament for like almost a year, and it's just so unreal to see this tournament having its first stream. So I just wanted to say something to give a big thanks to everyone that helped us work on the qualifiers. That being the head mappers, which is it's Nikki and Verdon. Big props to them because they worked really hard to give us these qualifier maps. And our mappers being Nipple JW, Nezu, Cranium, it's Nikki, Verdon, and Scrubble. And I would like to give a big shout out to all the playtesters that playtested the maps. So yeah, that's all I had to say. Schedules will be up now, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, that's all I had to say. If there's nothing else you guys want to say, I guess we can close out the stream.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I just wish everyone very good luck on the qualifiers, and also yeah, be tuned for the schedules.
Yeah, but I think your commentators know, and we'll be signing off.
Yep.
Bye.
See ya.